G'day guys, welcome to Ask Woodford. My name is Christian Woodford. Now, Ask Woodford is all about you. Yes, this is all about answering your questions as it pertains to training, athlete development, injury reduction, rehab, or even life. We want to help everyone, and that comes from coaches, athletes, to the general population trainer, whoever it is. We also want to thank our sponsor, macironfitness.com.au. Mac Iron Fitness is the premium supplier of all bands, rollers, and massage therapy balls for Woodford Sports Science Consulting. So sit back and enjoy the Ask Woodford show. Welcome to episode 14. I am your host. I'm not normally the host. It's normally Dirk, but he's dogged us out. But today, I guess I'll be the main man with the mic. Brick's not here because he's training. Dirk's downstairs because he's training. So it's a one-on-one. I have a special guest with us. It's my mate all the way from Sydney, Jordan, or Jordi Taylor, whichever you want to call it. Jordan, welcome to the Ask Woodford podcast.
Thanks, Christian. We got there in the end.
What a stiff, everyone. Now, before we begin, Jordan, you have 100,000 followers. How many of those are bots?
0. It's 114, by the way. I'll show you the analytics. Genuine. There's Instable is up there as a country. I don't know where that is. So it's Turkey. Turkey.
So my opinion on your followers is you haven't monetized them. You've got 114,000 of unmonetized followers. So great.
Well, the longer you can wait, the better the offer you can give. So keep an eye out. Hopefully one day we can do something with it. But in all fairness, like you joke, and Locks does this to me as well. Lachlan from Athletes Authority, if you didn't know. Dad. He says the same things to Tommy and I. But in this latest coach immersion, which is what we're down in Melbourne for, had 4 people come through, so like directly through myself. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So that's a good indication that it does work.
The king, eh?
Yeah.
The king. So before we begin, just want to explain a bit about who you are, because a lot of people have no fucking idea who you are. Who are you? What do you do? Why are you on this podcast? And just give us a rundown of your life. What? I'm not going to be touching this, everyone. So continue.
Well, before we do that, I'll give you credit because it is a bit of a surreal...
Oh,
it is. It's a bit of a surreal moment. I'll tell you why.
All right, tell me.
Obviously... You can't say that.
You can. I'll do what I want.
Obviously, you're a bit of an enigma.
Yes.
But as anyone that's been in this industry, as long as you have, and I've been in it now 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
Yourself has obviously been there since day one.
Yes, correct.
And obviously listened to all your stuff back in the day when you probably made a little bit more sense on the old Ask Woodford. You had your meltdown. I still remember that episode.
Well, actually, that meltdown was warranted. That was before rehab, so it was warranted.
Yeah. But so to come full 360 and be chatting to you today, mate, it is an honour. And you still don't get enough credit for what you have done for the industry.
Yep.
I know, again, behind closed doors, people like to say nice things.
Yeah, keep going,
yes.
keep going.
So
keep giving me the love.
Yeah, very, very grateful for being on here. But I think it'd be easier if we sort of throw it back to where we first met would probably be a good starting point.
I'm the one asking the questions. Well, let me ask the questions.
Well, no,
Let's talk about how we met, and I'll explain to everyone. Jordan, why don't you tell everyone what you thought of me before you met me? Like most people who have an opinion on me. Most people who before they meet me don't like me for some reason, and that's their issue, not mine. But Jordan, why don't you explain your specific story?
Yeah, well, I'll even take it a step further back.
Here we go. Donnie, you listening? Darren, you listening?
Jake Stanton, who's a good friend of mine. Jake Stanton, you wouldn't know him.
Okay.
He works in a high school setting in Queensland.
Okay, sweet.
Very good coach, very good practitioner.
Jake. Don't know who you are, but...
Well, you won't be shouting him out in a second. So we used to take your number from the website and give prank calls all the time. So we'd put in fake athlete names. So you'd get prank calls and you'd always call back and I'd always put his number in there. And you never realise.
What?
It was just something fun to do, just to stir you up a little bit.
Wow. Jake, you're a fuckwit. A genuine fuckwit.
So that's where it sort of started. But I think the reason, like...
Wait, hold on a second. Stop. Go back a bit. Why would you do that?
It's just something fun to do.
That's the most immature thing I've ever heard. And what a waste of time for everyone involved.
For who?
For you.
It was hilarious.
What did I say?
I can't remember. You'd call him at random times. He'd be at uni or whatever else. He'd have about 5 missed calls from you every week. And I just keep putting in random sports.
Oh, different sports. And in all honesty, I had that many athletes back then, I probably wouldn't care. I probably wouldn't have cared, I'm being honest with you. But anyway, that's crazy. Wow. So why did Jake do that?
Just for something fun to do.
Oh, okay, fair enough, cool.
Yeah.
Well, Jake, you're a funny guy.
But so anyway, but that was sort of the preface. But the premise to it all is I think if you don't know someone, you only see little glimpses and glams of them online. And you think you said it yourself, you're a bit of a WWE wrestler. You put on the facade, the Ric Flair, the whatever else.
But hold on, stop. Let's just go back to the reason why I did it. Okay, this is for everyone out there. When I started this, who was talking about this is serious for you? Back then, who was doing anything in the bar Durham, who wasn't promoting it? Who was doing anything talking about athlete development in the private sector on social media? Who was doing it?
No one.
I can't name one. Being serious. So my idea was, if I get people talking about me, and I was always being myself, I was being outlandish, outspoken, playing when I say a character, I was just trying to put myself, you have to put yourself out there to get anywhere in life. And all I was doing was putting myself out there, using a bit of science and art, a bit of passion, and I was just being myself, and people didn't like that. But what it did was, it got people talking. So that was my whole idea at the start. So I knew I was doing well when everyone was talking about me. So kind of going back to your point, people insecure would always project their insecurities onto me and be like, oh, he can't say that, you can't do this. And at the end of the fucking day, no offense to everyone out there, I don't give a fuck. I don't know you. I don't really care about you. It's like, I don't mean by that. You're not paying my bills. And if I always knew, I was either going to inspire people or people were going to hate on me. It's a lot easier to hate than be inspired, in my opinion. And you were one of those people who hated on me at the start.
Well, no.
No,
I was actually insecure about it.
Well, that's even nicer. Yeah, that's true. No, keep going, actually. This is good.
Yeah, well, obviously when there's an enigma speaking out on things that you think you may know or you may not know, you're essentially seeing that first phase of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Correct.
Right? You think you know it all. And then when someone may challenge your point of view, you then start to typically put up a wall and react to it in a negative way, or say that they don't know what they're doing, and you have that siloed thinking, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, again, one of the best ways to do it is obviously, absorb your content more and more. And I think anyone that's listened to Gary Vee, I'm a massive Gary Vee fan, the same sort of thing happens to him. At the start, you don't actually like him because they're saying things that actually
trigger you.
Yeah, exactly. And you were pretty much the same. And I still think the biggest one for me was when you first came to the Sunshine Coast. I couldn't do it at the time with Potsy. You sold out 4 or 5 seminars back to back to back with like 50 to 60 people in there, right? So it goes to show that you were getting big numbers. Yeah, up in Noosa.
Oh, okay.
And then obviously the next time you came back, that's when we first met, did the course.
But hold on, just stop, go back. So you're saying you didn't like me because you're insecure?
Correct.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Well, you're a young coach, right? You're learning everything. You've got these
do you know
different
much
things.
hate? This is serious. When I started, I got so much, and I still would not understand this to the life of me. When I started Woodford, I was 25 years old. I was a fucking kid. I'm 37 now this year. I hope I'm being a man. 37 this year, right? I've been doing this since I was an 18-year-old kid. This is all I've ever known in my life, right? What I still never understand is this. The people in this industry, now at least you've admitted that, that's cool, I respect you, and we're mates now, so it's a bit different, but let's say I never met you or whatever, right? What's crazy about this industry is I'm doing this I'm doing this for me, obviously, but to help the industry grow. Everyone wins, right? There's more awareness around what we do, there's more jobs. I've created more jobs than anyone in this industry, in my opinion, right? More awareness as well. Regardless if you like me or not, I've created more awareness, right? And what I never understand is, it's the people coming after me with the sports science people. What the fuck? You retards, you idiots. I'm trying to fucking help you. I've never understood that for the life of me. But then one day I worked with a psychologist that made me realise a lot. Most sports science kids are insecure, they're ignorant, they're up their ass, think they're better than everyone, think they're above everything. I'm too good for training that because they're not an athlete. Shut the fuck up. You're nobody. No one knows who you are. Work your way up like I did. I started at the bottom level, work my way up like you.
I think that's an important point too. Like a lot of people, and it does sound bad to say, but there's that shit-eating phase in the early days.
Bro, but
a lot of people aren't getting exposed to that anymore because either they feel like they're
above
below them.
They're above it.
And they don't want to work with, any
general population or something like that.
Or they think that they go, okay, well, I'm going to bounce from degree to degree, so I'm going to do my undergrad into my master's or whatever it may be. And you're skipping such a pivotal learning experience.
Correct.
Tradies, for example, like we say we can't work with general pop or anything like that, but tradies go and they learn how to measure basic things, how to level floors. It's like you just got to get reps on the board.
That's the fundamentals of your career.
And a lot of people want to skip that because they see the shiny object at the end.
Going back to your point of you being an idiot, let's go back to that. I still didn't get that, going back to the start. I still didn't understand that. Now, as I've gotten on though, Jordan, I don't get hardly any hate anymore. I get love, which is nuts. Bro, nuts. Because when I started, I just got hate. Now, I get people like you. I get people saying that I changed their life. Because of you, I've changed careers. And from all over the world. So I do thank you for that.
But also, you probably realise that group, you were that 25-year-old, which is a bit of an enigma. That's that sort of 25-year-old age
know
where
who
you
you
don't
are.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now they're getting a bit older.
Yeah.
Now they're 25. Now you're 37.
Yeah.
And you look 37. So that's the difference, right? So they're probably coming into their own as well, and they've grown past that.
No, and I do appreciate. And everyone changes. Everyone can admit when they're wrong and all this stuff. But I was right. You were wrong. So there we go. But at the same time, I've always tried to do the right thing by people. And I'm not saying I'm perfect because I'm not, but I've always tried to do the right thing. I've always tried to help the industry grow, and I really appreciate the people that I've met in this industry. And even a perfect example is Brendan Hoyer, who when I met slippery. I met Brendan, and Brendan was how do I put this without saying arrogant? I was one of Brendan's idols, and now that we're friends, for Brendan it must be crazy.
Well, the funny thing is there, and again, shout out to Slippery.
God, I love him.
Is that he had you and him in his background for about 6 months on his phone, even though he had a brand new girlfriend at the time. Oh, Slippery. But it's true. And, you know, it's when what do they say, your idols become your rivals or whatever it is. It's true. And it is a bit, that's why I said it's full 360 coming back and sitting on here because going back to what you said there before, you were very gracious with your time. We obviously did the course, which we paid for, and then at the end of it, we caught up for a coffee, I think, another day.
You had a book and you asked me questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll give you credit. You did say, you know who changed your thought process? I meet Dan O'Neill.
Yeah, he did.
Dude, shout out to Dan O'Neill, absolute fucking legend. What did he say about me? He must go, nah, he's you told me, he said, nah, Dan said you're a legend.
Yeah, well, he obviously attended one of your seminars and knew you a little bit more personally than you know, I guess I did at the time. Because he had Woodford pants on at Lift one day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that's how we got obviously onto the topic.
What did you say? And you said, no, he's a dickhead or something.
Well, that was just what was going around at the time.
Yeah, going around it was a dickhead, but go on.
And then, but again, he just said, look, you don't know anyone until you get to know someone. And the best thing you can do is actually go and meet them and actually figure that out for yourself, because he said, pretty basically what he said there before, what you do online and what you project online is not who you are in person.
Correct.
And they're two very different things.
I'm trying to sell something like people just don't. I know how to cut a promo. I've said this before, I'll say this one more time. I've watched WWF since I was a kid. I could cut any promo I want on anyone if I wanted to right now. If I want to bag someone, if I can pump someone up, I can do it. I can alienate people if I want to. That's just my life. Like I play it. I can fit into any character I want, but I'm being myself at the same time. I'm not trying to be anyone. I'm never going to do that. But I just got to. I'm a business owner. These are people who don't understand.
But there's a skill to that as well. A lot of people don't realize how hard that is.
It's very, very hard. Very, very hard. Very hard. It took me years to understand.
You make it look easy.
Thank you. You know what's funny? I had a young kid ask me how I do that so easy. How I can
do.
How I can like talk in front of a camera, and I said practice. And
it's hard. It doesn't come natural.
Nah, it's not natural at all. But for me, I just kind of had to do it. I looked at Joe DeFranco, and do you know what's crazy? You say it's 360 ER. What about for me when I see Joe and I are talking all the time? It's like, man, I'm at the age now in my life I can sit back and be proud of everything I've achieved, and looking guys like yourself, Brendan, all the guys I've watched grow up or getting older in the industry. It's really good to watch because it's crazy to watch your growth. And then I've seen my idols, they're getting older and they're having kids, and you know, it's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
pretty crazy.
And you get to see different people in different life cycles of their life, you know, in it, and they grow differently. You know, they might, instead of going out now, that like Locks, he can't go out anymore because he's got 3 young kids.
Yep.
You know, you get these little opportunities now where you have to grab a coffee instead of grabbing a beer.
Correct.
And they're different conversations that you would have because it's harder to relate because I don't have kids that I know of.
Wow.
Stuff
also,
like that.
You're not balding either. Sorry, Locks. You can't say anything, but Locks is a great guy, though. Locks is a good guy.
But Locks is another great example of that idol moment when you first sat down with Locks and you sit there and you're like, oh, shit, this is Lockie, you know, who I've watched videos on my whole life growing up.
Did you feel... Okay, I'll tell you guys a story because I don't think you remember this. We were out after the immersion and we were drinking, and Jordan was pissed and having a good time like Jordi does. And by the way, Jordi, I'll give you credit. I've never met someone, and you've got a lovely girlfriend now, lovely Mia. You weren't with me at the time. But Jordan, you're the best at talking to women I've ever seen in my life, ever. Goes up to groups of girls, doesn't even care. Where do you get that confidence from?
About 15 vodka Red Bulls.
But going back to the point I was trying to make was after I saw how good you are at chatting to women, which I told Brendan Hoyer this. I'm like, I've never met a guy you just walk up to groups of women. You don't even care. You literally walked up to groups of women and just talked to them.
So, do you ever read? What was the book by Neil Strauss?
I've heard about it, but I haven't read it.
The names escape me. Absolute great read, but it essentially taught you how to walk into a group of people and be able to talk to, like decipher and understand a group dynamic and then be able to get yourself involved in the conversation or remove yourself from the conversation. For example, again, this is not anything to do with strength conditioning in the slightest, but if there's a group of, say, three girls, as an example, and you're out, the goal when you understand the book and you break it down is quite often or not, the male will never go to the most attractive girl.
Yeah.
So you go to the most attractive girl and you start the conversation, and then the other two are instantly interested in what you're saying
because you're going the hottest one.
Yeah, and that's human dynamics and understanding that, and that's a different story.
We kind of went down a rabbit hole with this, but what I'm trying to say is talking about women. What I'm trying to say is we were out and you were drinking, and then you said to me, how good is this? My two greatest idols, Wilmot and Woodford, talking to each other.
I think that's a bit of mayo on that.
No, you said it like that. That's exactly how you said it. And I said, that's great. And obviously, talking about Locke, your boss at AA, obviously he's kind of had that effect on you as well.
Yeah, he's been great. As I said, the fact that, even at AA, they're things that I bought growing up. I'd buy courses from them. I would buy mentorship. I would buy that sort of stuff. And now that Locks is, when he's at work in the room next door, can simply go in there and ask him a question. Having that, it still sometimes feels surreal, even when you text me and I look and it says Christian Woodford, right? Or Lachlan Wilmot, or Brendan Hoyer.
You know who's sitting behind the camera who would just go, ugh.
It's Kez, yeah.
Yeah, so people come up to her and they'd be like, talking about me, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to him, or I can have a photo with you. And Kieran's like, I don't know what the big deal is. I just see, because she sees me as just me.
You get to know people before you actually know them, right?
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of social media, the beauty of being able to do stuff like this, is you get little glimpses into people, but you don't actually know who they are, but you feel like you know them, and they don't know you at all.
Correct.
Right? So
you know me well enough now, you idiot.
Now I do, but beforehand.
Idiot. I know, but what I'm saying is, it's interesting you saying that, but I can understand the kid in you, the younger sports science kid. When I met you, I actually liked you. When I met you, I'm joking, but when I met you, I just saw a kid who was hungry, and I still remember that meeting, and I still remember the questions you asked me, and credit to you, you've done a really good job. You're actually, you're better, in my opinion, your area in this industry is just very good at networking. I'm a good networker, you're better than me at networking. And that's saying something because I'm very good. I met you and another guy who used to work for me, best networkers I've ever seen. He owns a gym around here. He used to work for me. Great. We had in terms of we butted heads, but best network I've ever seen in my life, and you. Yeah. And that's saying something because, Kieran will admit, I'd never to give praise, for me to give someone praise, you got to be respected.
Especially on camera, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's true. But you and him are the best networkers I've ever seen. You're very good at it. I don't know why you're so good at it, but you watch everything. I watch everything you do. I don't read, I'll read your post and I have a laugh, and then I message Slippery and we bag you out for about 5 minutes about how you suck the algorithm off for 24/7.
So that works inverse now. So you're trying to rip into me, so it's worked.
Pretty much.
Thank you.
But me and Hoyer pay you out because me and Hoyer every so often we'll just pay. I'll call him up and he's just feeding the algorithm like usual. But when I talk to people, or if they know like you or what you put up, or I know that you've gone and got that sponsorship, which generally speaking, I know when you get sponsorships, it's like, Jesus Christ, you've done a good job. Because you're networking. That's what you're very good at. Yeah. My thing with you is you don't really need S&C. You're bigger than S&C. You're more, I see you more as like a, how do I put it, back-end management, sales. That's what you're good at.
Yeah, I genuinely enjoy people.
Yeah,
and working with people.
Do you get a bit bored, like me? I love S&C, but I just get bored sometimes in it.
Yeah, and this is no disrespect at all, but I think when you're in the private sector, if you have been coaching, I was coaching sales essentially. My 18th birthday is when I got my first personal training job.
Yeah.
Up until 4 months ago, I was coaching nonstop. So the amount of accumulated hours and sessions that you would have done over that time. I feel like within the first, say, 5 years, if you're actually doing it, you're probably going to tap out 90% of what you need to know.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd say more. 95.
And then if you go to a course on the weekend and you say, for example, you go to a plyometric workshop or something like that. And I've
Coach Dirk's plyometric workshop online, woodfordssc.com.
And I've been to plenty, and I will still continue to go to them. But what you take away that is brand new information that can apply to your current setting
0.001
is quite slim, right?
Slim.
And then now you look at that in the grand scheme of the world. I can't go talk to my barista about plyometrics. They won't get it, right? But if I go and now I say, okay, well, what is out there that's going to benefit my coaching?
Communication.
Well, it's also the business side of it, the bread and butter business, right? And networking falls under that umbrella.
Yep.
But understanding, how to market yourself and things like that, that's global, right? So that skill can be taken anywhere and in any industry, in any conversation, and that's how you start to drum up. And we get out of that silo of just being quote unquote a performance coach or a physio, whatever it is.
But that's how most people see themselves. They see themselves. See, this is going to sound so arrogant, but I believe I transcended the industry. And what I mean by that is I believe
that is arrogant.
That is so arrogant. But what I mean by that is I think I'm using the wrong word. What I mean is I believe I'm bigger than a coach. I believe I'm a mentor.
Well,
do you understand what I'm saying?
I think
does that sound? It sounds very arrogant.
No,
do you understand what I'm saying?
I think we cap ourselves that's
Correct.
all we can be.
I'm trying to get the point across. Like, I get to strength culture, right? And I can walk into a room, and you know this better than anyone. And Donnie's behind the camera. Thank you,
pointing to Donnie.
Thanks everyone, Donnie, as always. But how much engagement do you guys get off my post when you guys do a story off strength culture? Very good. Yeah. But I just believe that I walk in a room and I try and make it happen. And I just want to make people. I make Donnie smile a lot because I make him laugh, but I just want to make people smile. I honestly love going to different gyms, and especially Jamie's. Obviously, I'm very close with him, but even me and the guy behind the camera's brother, I'm becoming real close with at the moment. I just love that guy. I don't know why. It's just, Donnie, I love your brother. There we go. But he's just a ripper guy. And even just talking to him and just talking about his life and what he's going through and what I'm going through. And I love people.
But that's networking.
Networking.
That's going back to networking.
But I just feel like that I just have more, like I'm more than a coach, like what you say.
Yeah.
We're more than that. But people put themselves in that bracket.
And the other thing too, on the topic of networking is I only network with people in the same industry or the same area. So that's when you get that siloed thinking, and it's very consuming when that's all you're doing. If all you're doing is talking about the one topic, you actually start to go insane because you don't get any outside influence. Some of the best things that I do is I go to talk to some of my friends.
You have friends?
I got plenty. And I ask them questions around things that you're experiencing, and they've got absolutely no idea about coaching, but they see it in what they do for work.
They've got a different viewpoint.
And now that expands your opinion or the way that you can articulate yourself, and then you can get different, pull and plug and play different scenarios, which then can apply to your current situation versus being so siloed into that one form of thinking. And that's where a lot of people get caught up on, and that's when it becomes all-consuming. You start to not train. You start to remove yourself from certain situations.
You stop going out in the sun.
Yeah, well, that's a different story. The Sydney sun's not as bright as your solarium in your room.
Well, it's unfortunate for you guys all, but anyway. So listen, where do you see, you're at AA at the moment. I'm going to give you a hard question here. Don't sit on the fence. Where do you want to go? Do you want to stay at AA or you want to move, do your own thing? What do you want to do?
No, it's a great question, and
don't sit on the fence.
I'm not sitting on the fence. I'm going to tell you.
We can't sit on the fence.
No, the reason that it's especially front of mind is me and my girlfriend's moving from Adelaide.
Give her a shout out.
Always give her a shout out.
Well, give her one now.
Shout out to Mia.
Mia, you're a lovely girl.
She's a great girl.
She actually is putting up with your crap.
Yeah, so she's moving from Adelaide to Sydney, and that's a massive move.
That's a big move. She's freaking out.
A little bit, yeah. Wow. Which is understandable, right?
Mia, if you ever need a place in Melbourne, I'm here.
Why would she come to Melbourne?
I got no idea why I said that, but anyway, she's a great woman.
Yeah, she is. So for me, it's now front of mind, right? Because she's, from a personal standpoint, she's had a massive sacrifice and moving away from her family, giving up some really great roles that she's had now to move to Sydney to be with me. So now that's front of mind. Okay, well, if she's come this far, well, I have to at least reciprocate that in some capacity. Yep. Now, what that looks like, sitting on the fence, I actually have no idea.
That's just sitting on the fence.
I have no idea.
You've literally just sat on the fence, fucking hell.
But I think the skill sets that I'm trying to build can go across multiple industries and go across multiple disciplines.
Why wouldn't you do stuff like business consulting? You'd actually be good at that.
Yeah, and the thing about business consulting, and it's the same as with relationships, it's easier when you're talking to other people about their business.
Because it's not emotional.
It's not emotional. That's why
one thing I reckon you'd be good at.
I'll be a great relationship advice for everyone except for myself.
Except yourself, yeah.
I'm the worst. Because you get too attached to it. You've got memories that you hold on to from the past. You're trying to plan things for the future, and then you don't realise what's going on day to day. But yeah, look, that's why I want to stack these skill sets, because you never know where tomorrow will take you, and that's genuine.
No,
you have
you're
no
right
idea
about
where
that.
it'll go, and that's why I love so much.
That's a big, mate. That's a big step in your relationship. Like this, shout out to my beautiful, lovely girlfriend Nicole.
It's turned into a love radio.
Well, listen, I just want to give her a shout out because she's just a good person, and I smile when I think about her. That's pretty cute. But anyway. I do. I just think that I'm trying to convince her to move down to Melbourne now, because obviously you've done a long distance, and I'm doing a long distance, and we're both doing one.
And this is actually an important point. Relationships in what we do is very, really tough. Like really, really, really tough, right? Now, if you're coaching 6 till 6 or 6 till 8,
which most coaches do,
you wonder why there is so many breakdowns in communication.
Did you hear about? So this is crazy. In the AFL. The coach is the skills coach and the S&C coach, pretty much works in my hours, right? Dude, in our industry and in the coaches industry, they all break up with their wives or something, bro. It's crazy, the number. And bro, we talk about the importance of mental health for athletes. What about our mental health? No one cares. No one gives a shit, dude. It's crazy.
Or even just your general relationship with your wife. There's no way, like, you know what it's like when you go home. You're mentally drained because you're around people all day. You're giving your energy to everybody else. You don't give yourself that chance. And to be fair, the only people that I know that are in their 40s and 50s that still coach because they love it, but they have something on the side. So you know, whether that be properties or whatever it may be, they have this different aspect to themselves, which then allows them to coach for freedom because they love it.
Yeah, correct.
But not for free. They still charge, but
they don't need to worry about that being their primary source of income.
Correct.
I think that actually, it was Kieran who first noticed when I used to do my workshops, and I used to say to Kieran, this drains the hell out of me. Workshops, coaching, it's so draining. People don't understand. When you go home, all you want to do is relax, or in my case, start screaming out something about brick. But still...
or slippery.
But it kills you, and this is why I'm lucky where Nicole's kind of in the same industry and me is in the same industry as you.
They get it.
But it's still very hard. I mean, I remember when I was engaged with Kate, and she didn't understand it. She's a nurse. She used to do different hours, obviously. She
didn't understand
it, bro. It's weird as, man.
But we're also, let's not get on a high horse here, but every other industry, whether that's, you're a lawyer or a teacher, like there's all these things you have to deal with. I think we just don't factor that in for ourselves enough because it's a service-based industry. We're always serving versus looking after ourselves. I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but it's actually true.
When are you shaving your mo?
Never. I'll tell you why. I reckon I've got a small mouth.
I just don't like it.
Okay, well, that's fine. I don't like your head.
Bit harsh, but anyway. That didn't go the right way I thought, but anyway, I'm just saying I don't like your mo. Anyway, cool, awesome. So, I've got a few more questions for you. The first one, you sat on the fence, so fair play to you. Well done for sitting on the fence. You came here for no reason. Second thing is, what's your job at AA? Like, what do? You just said you don't coach anymore. What is your job? Because the way I see it is you're just the media guy now.
Kind of. It's changed a fair bit.
So you are the media guy.
It's evolved a fair bit.
No,
yeah.
Yes or no, you're the media guy.
The title that's been given is Head of Media and Partnerships. So you... That's the official title.
Oh, you laugh at titles a little bit, like Decranus. I'll bag out Decranus here, right?
He told me today he gave it to himself.
So Decranus, let me tell you a story for everyone out there, right? When I was younger, I used to have all these stupid titles: head of performance, director of physio, head strength and conditioning coach, head performance coach. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm past those days. Dirk goes, "Can I call myself head of performance?" Yeah, why not, son? So he's got head of performance. This is why industry is so bullshit. We have all these stupid titles like high performance. At the end of the day, do you know what we do? We prepare athletes for sport. That's it, really. And you can use any title, but I just think titles are stupid. Like, you know what my title is? Director. I just call myself a director, or performance coach, or strength and conditioning coach, or one of the two. But I just reckon the titles are so stupid. I reckon you just...
Yeah, but they're everywhere. But yeah,
so your title is, just so we all know,
Head of Media and Partnerships. So essentially, what that looks like is coordinating all of our media, whether that be our organic and paid, with our videographer. Arthur.
Fantastic.
He's great.
Yeah.
And then
so you do no coaching.
Very limited.
And why did you put that in the background? I just realised that.
Why not?
Well, fair enough.
You look good.
I do look good. Damn good.
So that's part of it. And then some strategic mapping out around our content and things like that. But then also...
Why is your content a bit boring sometimes?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm being honest with you. I like your content is educational, no doubt, but you don't really show. And this is nothing against them. Your AI anything because I love the boys and I love the organisation. What I'm saying is, you don't really show each coach's personality. Is that fair? Is that a fair?
Yeah, it's very fair, I guess, when you're in a systems-based environment.
Correct.
You can't rely on one person too heavy because, for whatever reason,
But isn't that why people come to you?
Yeah, correct. Exactly right. And it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah. I honestly I'm not trying to have a kid at you because you guys do it really well. What I am saying is you don't really show... I don't know anything about any of your trainers apart from you and... I know you and Slippery. Obviously, I know most of the guys there. But I'm trying to think if I'm an athlete. I want to know a bit more about you, a bit more about Slippery. No, do you understand what I'm saying?
No, it's a very good point. I've mentioned this to Carl probably, who is
and
one of the other...
Carl is the owner.
owner.
And I might... You know what? We'll get Carl on here because he's... in terms of his knowledge of business, he's pretty good. And I'd love to talk to him and pick his brain a bit. So we'll get Carl on. We'll probably get the Michelin Man on at some stage too.
Yeah, you got to pay an appearance fee for locks these days.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
I'm not paying him. So anyway, keep going.
What were we saying? Oh, yeah, so I spoke to this about Carl the other day and we had a pretty candid conversation around it and we agree on it. Like, that's definitely something we don't shine enough light on.
No, not at all.
And so trying to figure out the best way to implement that is also quite hard, right? There's a lot of moving pieces and things like that. But I think there's elements of it. It can definitely be done better, 100%.
As I'm saying, I'm just giving you feedback when I look at it. In terms of what I reckon you could show a little bit about their personality, who they are, because you might find that the people resonate with that a bit more.
Well, look, at the end of the day, people relate to people, right? People relate
this
to
is
Elon over
people-based industry. We just talked about this. So people relate to Woodford. They either hate me or love me, but who cares? They've got an opinion on me. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Even if they don't like you guys. Like, who's your favourite staff member? And I'm putting you on the fence. Don't sit on the fence. Who's your favourite staff member in Sydney?
Probably Hoyer.
Oh, you sat on the fence again. That's an easy option. I love Hoyer too. But my favourite staff member there is Hoyer.
Brenda's getting a lot of love. No, I like Hoyer because... He's been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
He's very, very knowledgeable in obviously the speed development space.
Well, that's what he's gone for, yeah.
But he doesn't he'll be the first of this. He doesn't back himself enough. And so I like to push him out of his comfort zone a little bit. And I'd like to think over the last couple of years he's sort of become a little bit more extrinsic, a little bit more flamboyant to what he used to be.
I don't know why he's... You know what's crazy about Hoyer? This is nuts. And I've always thought about this. Hoyer has followed me for a long time. And I'm the opposite of Brendan. Why he loves me is I've got no idea. Do you have any idea? Have you thought about that? Like,
yeah, well, when you call him, he doesn't really say anything. You just talk and he just laughs. So that could be it.
No, but I'm serious. Like, what I'm saying is he's followed me for years, since I started. Dude, he's followed me since 2013. I started 2012. That's how long he's followed me, right? And I've always wondered, Brendan's such a quiet kid. Why he'd followed me, why he liked me. Because most people who are quiet don't like me. My sister included.
You probably project what he thinks, but he can't do that himself with his personality type and traits. So,
fair enough. I've always intrigued because there's people who are really quiet and they realise that this guy's like... I think when you meet me, and this is why going back to our previous point when we first started, I can understand why people at the start are put off by me. I can understand to a point why they're like, fuck, this guy's too full on this. And then you meet me and you're like, okay, fuck, he's a good guy. He means well. He just wants the best. Like, I can understand why they are put off because if you're a beta, that's why you're put off and you were a beta. That's what betas do. They get put off by alphas and I'm an alpha. But that's why. No offense to you.
That's okay.
But you were a beta by saying that, you admit you're a beta.
No,
but admit you're not an alpha.
I can still outbench you.
So what, that makes you an alpha?
Yes.
Fair enough then. By the way, just let everyone know, the man beat me once in bench. He won't beat me again. How much are you getting bench now?
Oh, not that much.
Good, I'll beat you then.
120.
Is that it?
Probably.
Pitiful. Please.
Well, yeah, going back to that, like, I think going to your networks, it's also
We're just going back and forth here, back and forth around, back again.
Last for a set of questions and you couldn't do it, so that's okay. But I think
Where's Dirk when you need him?
When you're talking about networks, it's also understanding different personality types.
Are we going back to networking?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a really important part that you skipped over.
Why did I skip over it? No, you've talked about it enough.
I've said about 3 words.
All right, go on then.
Understanding different personality types and being able to motivate people differently is very hard.
As a coach, what's important too.
Exactly, and it crosses over perfectly into that. So sort of stealing the thunder there, but that's the point. Like, what you learn as a coach is definitely transferable into those other opportunities. You sort of have to find a way to integrate it. There are so many skills that coaches learn day to day on the gym floor. They don't realize they're actually doing that, right? Motivation, speaking to, I still remember when I was like just started 18, and my first client had just divorced her husband. And she's talking to me about her divorce. I'm like, I'm 18. I don't know what a divorce is, but you learn very quickly.
You have to learn
how
on the
to
job
speak
quick.
to it.
Yeah, correct.
Then my next client was a gay guy. Never really had been a part of that community before. Learn a lot about that.
What, you've never met a gay person before?
Not to that level where I'd be hanging out with them, 3 hours a week for three one-on-one hour sessions. You learn very quickly that that's a different conversation. I wouldn't speak the same way that I would with my footy athletes, right?
So what you're saying is, for everyone out there, I'm breaking it down in lingo that people understand instead of him carrying on about this. What he's saying is, it's breaking down, being able to talk to all different types of people and tailoring the communication style to fit their needs.
Correct.
There we go. I just broke it down in the most easiest way. But I agree with you. By the way, that's very well said by you. But you're right. You have to learn on the job.
Yeah, but that's what a lot of people miss, right?
Because they don't. Because you know what they get caught up on, Jordi? I think you did, and I did when I was a kid. You get caught up in the X's and O's. But you know what? The X's and O's, yeah, they're important. But you know what's even more, even the most important variable, in my opinion, is not the X's and O's. It's how it's implemented.
Well, mate, I still remember in that same personal training environment, there was a guy there, personal trainer, surfy, tanned,
good looking.
Yeah, for his age.
So like me?
Kind of.
Yeah.
And he, with all due respect to him, didn't really have much of an idea.
But
he had all the clients.
Yep.
He was always busy.
Yep.
Right. And that was
charging good money.
Relatively speaking,
Yeah,
right?
but
that was the first insight for me that
it's not about the X's and O's.
Exactly. But again, a lot of people miss that because they just don't have that environment ever.
Do you know what's crazy about our job, bro? And I think you can agree. It's so funny when you break down how simple our job is, but people want to make it more complex.
Yeah.
Like you look at the Joel Seedsmans out there, those real game athletics. They've got the Nardi Aguilers of the world, these coaches who make it. And by the way, they've got huge followings. And the reason why they've got huge followings is because they overcomplicate something that needs to be simplified. And that's, you look at Joel Seedsman's followers. Let's have a look right now, Joel Seedsman. He has 400,000, I think, followers. Let's have a look. Dr. Joel Seedsman. Dr. Joel. If you want to put a little thing up of him, Joel Seedsman. I don't want to pump him up because he does stupid things, but 443,000. Dude, have you seen the stuff that he does?
Yeah, but why do you think he has so much engagement and followers? Because it's different, right?
Because it's different,
and
correct.
you'll get drowned out if you do the same things over and over again because people see it. So, and you look at some of the high-level athletes that he's got there and whether they're paid to be there or not, it doesn't matter. He's still got them, right?
Yeah.
And that obviously helps just keep boosting that cycle. You see him working with high-level athletes or high-level people. Oh, crap, he must be really good because he's getting his hands on these athletes. The cycle continues, right? It's like what everyone says. The first million is your hardest million to make.
And then after that's easy.
Exactly. And it's the same with social media. It's that flow-on effect. You get to your first, I don't know, it's arbitrary number, 20,000, whatever it is.
There we go.
Yep. And it gets easier and easier because you already have that perceived authority by other people.
It's like that blue tick.
Yeah.
So did you pay for your blue tick or no?
Blue tick boys.
Blue tick boys.
Yeah.
So we're talking about engagement, right? Any tips out there for young coaches out there who want to get better engagement and they don't want to fall down the trap of doing... I used to think, Jordi, do the highest quality educational post, you get lots of engagement. Do you know what's crazy? I do this write-up post, right? This beautiful post. Educational, passionate, the best high level, right? It gets 4 likes. I do a post.
And you were one of them.
Hold on. Then I'm one of them. I do a post on bagging out someone, or I do a post on me acting like an idiot, and it gets 2,000 likes.
Yeah.
Explain why.
Well, it usually typically comes down to one or two things that you're doing on social media. You're either educating or you're entertaining. And sometimes you can do both. So the best people can educate and entertain at the same time, right? Think of like your evidence-based coach, I think is his name, from the Gold Coast. Essentially, he does similar to what Jamie Smith does. The book guy, Jamie Smith, Modern Strength Culture. Sorry, Jamie. James Smith, thank you, Donnie. Sorry, Jamie.
Bit harsh on Jamie Smith.
Yeah, but he's essentially just...
James Smith, I think it is.
James Smith. He just talks around. He educates, but he does it in an entertaining way that people just buy into it, right? A lot of coaches get stuck on doing the X's and O's. It's not that interesting. It's drowned out because a lot of other people are doing it. It just falls to the wayside. It's very hard to build a strong following. I also don't think, as you mentioned before, numbers don't mean anything. I would rather have 10 people that are engaged and do everything that I want to do versus 100,000 that don't mean anything.
Yeah, but this is why I keep saying, and I know I'm bagging you, I'm just joking, but you've got, like, these, it's not just you, bro. Like, you've done really well to get the algorithm up, and I respect that, but I mean, I look at my followers, right, through across all the platforms. I got big numbers on, you got to remember, I started before Instagram. I wasn't on Facebook. And my numbers might not be big compared to these big guys, but everyone seems to, like, when we put up workshops and shit and we sell around the world, we sell tickets, which is crazy. But then you see other people with 100,000 followers and no one knows who the fuck they are really.
Doesn't mean anything. At the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything.
Oh, well, no, I agree with you.
But it gives perceived attention, right? And that's the difference. There's genuine attention, which you actually can't see, right?
Yeah.
Through Instagram. You may see it through maybe comments or something like that.
But you know how you see it?
For me, if they do a workshop or an event,
for me, it's when people know who the fuck you are or everyone's talking about you. That's how I knew. And that's subjective, obviously. But I kind of knew it was working when people were just all talking shit. And I'm like, oh, this is working. Or for you, if you and I are going to Ireland together, the UK, I'm doing a workshop, you're coming with me, you're helping me out. You're my secondary, just to let everyone know, secondary. But we're going there. And I guarantee of mine and yours will be quite big. We'll get a good response to it. So you're saying numbers aren't a thing, but I think for certain people, it's just engagement for me. What engagement are you monetizing it? You know, can you monetize it? Do people follow you? You know, do people actually want to actively engage with you?
Also, the longer you can wait before you monetize your audience, the better.
He said this before, yeah.
Right? Which is true, right?
No, I agree with it.
It's essentially the Gary Vee jab, right? Hook. The longer that you can keep jabbing and just provide
high quality educational content,
entertainment, whatever it may be, and then when you ask, that's very different than just trying to flog something off every 5 posts or whatever it may be, and that's very different, right?
Well, Threads is out now. You're on the Thread app.
Yeah, Threads is interesting.
You've already got 4,000 followers.
Yeah. And I guess the reason that I think Threads will ultimately have a red hot crack at Twitter is it's frictionless, because whatever people post on Threads can be easily shared directly across to Instagram, whether that be story or feed. And you look at Instagram and the tweet screenshot was like a really big one. I can probably see that being eliminated with Threads.
Yep.
Where I would imagine that would be going is Instagram would then pump that through the algorithm a little bit more, being what we want to pump Threads up.
So that's why you and I are pushing it hard.
The more threads we can, you can share. We're going to get around that from an exposure standpoint.
Yeah.
The story yesterday of Threads that I just put up just out of curiosity performed pretty good. I had a really good read last night around some of the metrics and some of the back end of it. It's quite an interesting platform. It's built a little bit different. I don't want to speak to it because I don't know enough about it yet, but it's built a little bit different than the Instagram social graph. It's built on it. It's called something completely different. I'm not going to butcher it and get it wrong, but it's built quite different. And I think just that frictionless experience. But the reason that you can gain followers quite quickly is because it transfers straight across from Instagram. So once you sign up, those followers can either accept to follow you straight away, or you essentially start from a blank canvas. But the other thing that it has, it's essentially, that's that capitalism, right? Instagram already has 2 billion users. Twitter has 250 million users, right? So let's just say if a quarter of Instagram over the next couple of months goes across, they're essentially matched the amount of users on Twitter.
Do you know what's a big bust, though, from Facebook's point of view, was the metaverse? That's a massive bust.
Yeah, timing's everything, right?
No, but it's a bust, bro. No one's doing it.
Wait, it will still be around. The timing's off. The timing, it will still be there. The timing's off. The technology isn't just there yet.
I agree the technology is there. For me personally, I can't. I'm a Musk fan, not a Zuckerberg guy. Yeah. I'm a Musk guy. And I hope they get in the cage together personally, because I think
no, they are. They're going to get in. They're going to rip in.
Mate, they don't like each other.
Yeah.
And I'm putting all my money on Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is my savior, I believe. I think he's great. I can't stand Zuckerberg. I think he's I think this whole free speech thing, what's happening right now around Facebook in Canada. Have you heard about this, Bo? How they're it's crazy what's happening over there. So I'm real big on so they talk about mis and disinformation. Who decides on what is mis or disinformation? Oh, the government, of course, the government.
Yeah.
So Canada now are bringing in this bill that apparently says that if Facebook shares disinformation as decided by the government, of course, they'll get fined. Facebook. So pretty much, wow. They're crazy, man. So what's happening in the world right now? I'm real big on freedom of speech. Obviously, the Third what Amendment in America, the Third Amendment, I think, free speech. I don't know. But that's why I loved America so much, because they're never going to get rid of the freedom of speech. Because in Australia, we're still in that age right now where I'm a bit worried where social media is still in its infancy. If you think about it, compared to how long the world's been going. If you think about social media, how long has it been really popularly going for?
Instagram was when I was sort of in high school, so about 10 years, maybe.
So not long.
Yeah.
So wait till your next 20 years and how it's going to change again. And you can
see how much society's had to evolve around it too, right? It's a very different playing field than what's going on.
You can get famous off fucking YouTube and fucking Instagram.
Yeah, which is unreal, because there's a lot of kids that are talented that would never, they'd go and do, things that they wouldn't want to do, quote unquote, but now they have the ability to have a living off that. So I think it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really allows creatives to have a platform that they never would have. But going back to your, when you're talking about speech there and things like that, I think that's where platforms like Threads and Twitter obviously has been around for a very long time. It's a different style of platform. So your communication style has to be very different to what you would put up on Instagram.
Why is that?
It's being native to the platform, right? It's like me walking into a high-end bar and I'm just dressed in this kit. I'm out of place.
Oh.
Right? I wouldn't dress like this and walk into a LinkedIn platform, because it's more professional. There'd be people in suits. This, I might get away with a cafe, which let's just call that Snapchat or something like that, right? Versus, okay, so you actually have to mold what you say to the platform. Now, you want to do that obviously within your own ways that you want to be creative or.
Do you read my latest thread, what I wrote?
No.
I'll read it out.
You're not that big of a deal yet.
Let's see. Let's have a read. You'll like this one, though.
But yeah, I think that's very important for people to understand that. And you can sort of see the people that have been on Twitter before and now on that, they understand the platform way better in the way that people engage on it versus people that have come straight from Instagram. And they're trying to do Instagram on that platform. So it's an advantage of being a first mover is you get to practice these things and learn very quickly.
Name the biggest fake nutty in the industry. I'll start. Tag Chris Hemsworth. Then, after 5 minutes, I said, no, I take that back. The biggest fake natty and scumbag is the Liver King. Not only did he lie about natty status, he profited off it. People like him have zero morals and integrity. People like him care for one thing only, dollars. Pretty good, eh?
Not bad.
I can't stand the Liver King. I think anyone who's willing to profit off, if you're profiting and you're saying, buy this supplement, and this is the supplement that made me this jacked and ripped, and by the way, the guy's a 5'2" nothing. I can't stand that guy. I honestly wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. That's how much I dislike him. Because, mate, you made money. No, I'm being serious, bro. You made money off the insecurity of others, and that's not right. Mate, that's not right. And for everyone out there, you guys know my status on all this stuff. I do not agree on taking PEDs for athletes. If you're in sport, don't take it. If you're not playing sport, do it all you want. I couldn't give a shit. Like TOT, TRT, what do you want to call it, is brilliant. I'm not going to go into this with Jordi, but you guys know my stance on it. I'm a big believer and I take it. I'm the biggest. I hate fake natties. I hate fake natties. Bro, I hate it. If you're making money off others to say that I'm natural when you're clearly not, like, let's think of social media, right? And all these pictures that go up and they say, you take this supplement, and they're sucking in young kids. Like, you're a young kid, you're not dumb like that. But
but even like someone's self-educated a little bit. I remember when I would go into the supplement store at 16, 17 and try to buy pre-workout and Trainable from Body Science, like,
do you know,
all that sort of stuff.
They try and make it sound like a steroid, Trainable or Deca. You know what it is?
Yeah,
like,
so I think anyone that's sort of going through that phase is going to get sucked in at some point.
Bro,
the only problem now is it's everywhere.
What I am trying to say is that prick, that guy, that Liver King, who, by the way, I used to follow him and be like, do you know what? He sends a good message. His message is good, but I knew mate, you would have to be the biggest, you'd have to be blind Freddy to not see that he's on gear. I love what he said he wasn't on gear, and I'm like, mate, have a look at the guy. Can you put a photo of him up here? There's a photo of him. Just have a look at him. Does this look like a guy not on steroids? Like, have a look at him. And do you know, by the way, do you know what found out what he was running? Donnie, I think it was like 20K per month of stuff. And by the way,
it was a lot.
Dude, that is, so for everyone out there, I'm going to give you an understanding of what I'm on. I'm on $80 a month. That's how much. That's it. A month. That goes on 20K. Dude, the stuff he was taking was ridiculous. And he still looked shit, in my opinion. He looks like an idiot. I don't know, man. I get triggered by him because I just see a little kid in me being like, why lie about that? You didn't need to lie. Like, what he was saying was great. You know, eat healthy, train hard, and then he just lied. Wrecked it for me. I inboxed him. I called him a scumbag. Said, you're a fucking scumbag.
I'm sure he got back to you.
Didn't get back to me. He actually saw it, though. Someone saw it, which is crazy. Fuck him.
But that's...
You know what I'm like with the boxing fights? Liver King, let's do it. I know he wouldn't do it, but still. Imagine if he wrote back to me and said, I'll fight in a fight.
I don't reckon he will.
But imagine if he did. He has nothing to... I've got everything to gain from that.
Genuine question. Can you throw them? Because you talk about fighting people a lot, but I've actually never seen you throw them.
I do it for two reasons. One, first of all, it all started with Kane Corns. I don't know if you know Kane Corns.
Yeah,
so Kane
told me about 20 times.
Well, it started from him. Bro, this wouldn't have started if he didn't write back to... He inboxed me privately and said, he said, oh, I'm so scared of you and all this. And I'm like, what the hell? What the fuck?
Was he taking the piss or he's genuine?
Being genuine. And then it kind of went back and forth. And I just said, let's do this. Let's do it for charity. And he goes, no, let's do a running race. Fuck off, mate. Can I throw them? Probably not, but we're going to find out, aren't we, one day? I'm pretty sure.
The first person that accepts the challenge will be very good. It'll be very interesting.
I just wanted to fight people I don't like. I just actually want to get in there and have a throw and see if I can hurt them a bit. And I just don't like the Prime guy. I called him out, didn't want to throw. And Kane Corns, the way I said, I'm 3 and zip or 2 and zip in fighting. I haven't lost.
Without throwing one.
I don't know, man. I just kind of do it for a bit of attention as well as a bit of fun. You know, mate, in all honesty, I think you know me better than anyone. I get a bit bored. I get bored. I don't really, in season right now, I've got nothing to do. I'm kind of maintenance with all my athletes and I have a bit of fun, mate. Listen, social media's a bit of fun. Isn't it? Let's break down the crux of it. We have a bit of fun, right?
100%.
But people take themselves way too seriously.
And they're the ones that actually will never go anywhere because they're only showing one side of themselves, right? Now, let's say, for example, you're a coach, but now all of a sudden people know you love boxing. They know you love AFL. They know you love tattoos. They know you love your Mustang, which you just sold. But all these sorts of...
Don't bring that up. I feel so bad about that.
All these things, right, that they now know about you.
Lover. Yeah.
They now know all these different things about you. You're not just a coach, but we go back to before. You're not just in this one little silo.
Oh.
So people can now start to relate to you. You go for St Kilda. I go for St Kilda. Who's your favourite player? All this sort of stuff. Like, you're building more of a person, and that's far more personable than...
Is that why people... Is that why people like him more geared towards me now? Like what's the word for it? Not like
relatable.
Relatable now.
Probably. There's elements of that, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to see yourself in someone else, in whatever capacity that is.
I think it's because I'm honest. I think people see me. I've been asked on so many podcasts, dude. So I get asked on a lot of podcasts, and one thing they always say to me, "We love how honest you are. How honest you are about the industry." So how I told you when I went on Carl's your podcast. I don't just talk about wins, I talk about losses. And people relate to that because you're going to lose more than you win. But social media makes it seem like everyone's winning. Dude, everyone's got this fucking high-end car. Everyone makes $200,000 a year. It's not like that. Most people lose, but why not, bro? Why not show authenticity? Why not show vulnerability? People fucking relate to that.
Yeah.
People relate to me. And that's why I think another thing why when I go to String Culture and train, and I'll bring this up a lot, but people come up to me there and they say I've followed you for a while, and I love your content, but the most thing I like about you, you're real.
It's relatability factor, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I think you're exactly right. I think the other thing that you probably did a really good job of is when you were going through some tough times, is you shared that, but in depth. And you probably got a lot of positive feedback off the back of that.
Fucking heaps. I got people messaging me saying thank you for that. Like, thank you for being honest about it because
a lot of people can't do it. And a lot of people can't do it.
I can understand why they can't. Like, trust me, I get that. But for me, you know what? I thought it could be a good opportunity to show people, hey, I've been through it. You can get through it too. I want it to be an inspiration of that. And also, I'm at the age now, bro, that I'm old enough now that I know who I am, bro. If you don't know, and bro, I've worked on myself, bro. I see a psychologist. I work with a mentor. So I work on myself. It's very hard. You know the hardest thing to do is work on yourself internally. Very hard. Very hard.
100%.
Like what you talk about silos, a lot of people like just hearing what they want to hear. They don't want to really, to work on yourself, bro, takes guts.
Well, here you go. Here's one for you. I hate public speaking.
Do you?
Hate it. This stuff here, don't really like it. I really don't. I've grown to like it.
Yeah.
Two things to it. Back home in Sunny Coast, I actually took public speaking classes.
Oh, really? How'd you go with it?
Shit house. Probably took me, I did about 3 months of it.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could even do that. It's sick.
Yeah. And it was interesting. Like it's really outside your comfort zone.
What do they get you to do? Just talk in front of people?
Yeah, essentially, because everyone has different blocks or reasons why they don't like public speaking or being the center of attention. I can be in a room and throw chat and stuff like that, but when all the attention's on me, I'm just not a big fan.
Really?
Yeah.
See, it's crazy for me, right? I actually do love it, obviously. It's no surprise. But for me, I actually take beta blockers before I do public speaking.
Yeah.
So beta blockers, just for everyone out there, inhibits adrenaline, so that gets that flight or fight response. So it just relaxes me a lot more.
Yeah.
I could do it without it now. Now I could do it without it, like obviously. But that took me years. Dude, the first time I did a public speaking thing for my honours, I freaked the fuck out. I started hyperventilating. It's pretty great. You know what? It's not normal, is it?
No, it's not. And you go through high school and you do a little bits here and there, and there's people that are natural at it. There's other people that really struggle.
You got. I think. People are, you're going to have naturally inclined people to it, like extroverts.
Yeah.
Some extroverts don't like it either. But most introverts do. Like extroverts like it. But I think it's just, you know what it is? It comes down to you knowing yourself as a person, you knowing the content, what you're presenting.
Yeah, bang on. That's the kicker. I think that was the biggest one for me, was knowing what I'm speaking about.
Yeah. But my thing is, always people come up to me and go, how do you know how are you so confident when you talk? Because I've done it my whole life. I know it works. And this is just my subjective opinion, what works for my results.
And you only speak about what you know.
Correct. You're not speaking about something you don't know. And my thing is, when I present, I'm just talking about what I do know, and I know it very, very well. And if people disagree, that's all well and good. That's up to them. But this is what I know. Like when you and I do it in Ireland, by the way, and we're going to talk about this soon, but when we go to Ireland, you and I in the UK, all you and I are presenting on, I'll just throw to you and I'll say, George, what do you think about this in your experience?
Yeah.
You're not saying anything out, they want to know what you know.
And that's really important to know, because everyone has different contextual environments.
Correct.
Right? Pro sport's very different to a private clinic. And just because a pro sport's done one way doesn't mean you can take that and copy it straight into a private scene. It's very, very different. Gym to gym's different. Location to location's different. Staff to staff is different. All these elements are super different. And if you take that blanket approach, it's like reading 10 pages of a 100-page book. Right? You think you know the
crux,
but you don't. You know nothing. You know such a little amount of it. So that's a really important factor for people just to at least to consider. And that's why, without talking about the coach immersion, for example, that we're doing here, I love the coach immersion because the way that I wanted to create something was all the courses and stuff I'd done growing up and as a coach, courses for whatever else it was as well, whether that be personal stuff. The ones I loved the most had two elements of it. The first element was something that when you go to the event, you can walk away and implement something straight away. The other element to that first element is that then also in 1, 2, 3, 4 years, I can go back to that content and go, I use that, and now it applies to my new environment. And that's double, that's a really good one. The other element, going back to networking, is I just like having different environments. People thrive in a classroom are different people that thrive at a dinner table, are different people that thrive having a beer. So if you can get someone in an environment that they feel a bit more comfortable in, like last night we went and had Mexican for dinner, and I had a few reds and a couple had a few wines and stuff like that. All of a sudden you start to relax a little bit, you know what? Questions come out, and it's great.
I think, you know what? I've been there coach immersion and it was good. I think, I'll be honest, it loosened up a lot when we started just relaxing on the outside of just the gym. You know what I mean? Like, did that happen as well? Like,
it happens every time. Like, it's like any event, right? You go day one and you can sense the nervous energy.
Yeah. So everyone just kind of loosened up after a few drinks?
Yeah, but also they listen.
How much did you bag now to everyone there, be honest?
Last night?
Yeah. I hope a lot.
No, a little bit.
Oh, see, I'm disappointed in that. I hope a lot. But anyway, because when I called you, I'm like, I knew you were drinking. And I know Locks was probably giving me shit. I'm thinking to myself, I love it, man. I don't know if I'm from a football background. So I had a few people that I know. Obviously, I know. You know what's crazy? Out of the immersion, every time I see an immersion, I'm like, know him. Done my workshop. So it's crazy how small this industry is. But it's always funny when you go out, not in a gym environment, when you go out and you start, don't have to drink, but outside
socializing in a different environment.
And I think that's where you're the best. You bring the best out in you there.
Yeah.
When you have a few drinks, and that's not saying against you, but when you had a few drinks, you're probably the best talk I've ever been, bar me. But when you've loosened up, like I can imagine you work the room better than anyone. Were you working the room, be honest with me?
Last night.
Be honest.
Yeah, but of course.
See, I told you.
But this is something that when you host events, a lot goes into it that you don't understand and don't realise.
I do know events, yes.
Yeah. But for example, this is over 3 days, there's 12 guests. My goal is each day to spend time with 4 people. And then the next day, 4 people, the next day, 4 people. Because
this is a good class, isn't it?
Yeah, because whether people know it or not, there is sometimes an element of favoritism. You don't even realise you gravitate towards certain people for whatever reason. So when people are spending their time, there's 3 days with us away from their work, family, friends, I want to make sure that I get to know these people on a bit more of a personal level. And then later on down the track, like 9 times out of 10, a lot of people, when I go to these things, I don't talk about anything to do with coaching. I just talk about anything else. Footy, beer, wine, whatever it is. And then like a month later, they'll send me and say, hey, remember when we were talking about this over a beer? I want to ask you a question on this.
So it's an opening. It's an opening.
And that's the other thing too, always being open to go out and have a beer because you never know where they take you.
The older you get, you change as well. What you like when you're younger, you're not saying that you hate it, but you're not as inclined to love it as much. Dude, I'm not going to lie, I'd still love going out with the boys and going to a nightclub and having a crack and having a dance, but it's not going to be every week like it was. I'm sure you can relate to that
100%.
these days. But that's not to say that you don't like doing that,
No.
because I've got mates who are 50 who once every 6 months will go out with me still.
But the kicker is a lot of people never replace it. So they go from that and then they just never go out or they never socialise, and then
so
that's the
true.
kicker.
That is
right?
so true,
you've
isn't
got to
it?
find, and
That
it
happy medium.
Could be a coffee. Bit
But
boring,
but
it could be a dinner. It could be a walk, but like and then that's when you don't have any friends anymore because you realise, shit, I haven't been out for 6 months.
You know what? That is such a nail on the head where people go from doing 100 to that to nothing, which is crazy. Listen, we're going to nearly wrap this up because it's near the end. By the way, just to let you know, you've been a fantastic guest. Like, the knowledge that you guys will get from this is unbelievable. I've got one more question for you. So you haven't told me where you see yourself going and all that, but name two good things about your job right now and 2 things you don't really like. 2 things you love and two you don't like.
Yeah. The first
And
one.
don't sit on the fence.
No, I'm not.
I have to say that because I know what he's like.
The first one would be with the new role, it's an element of flexibility, which is great because
Carl doesn't ride you every day.
no, he's all right.
I'm not saying he's not all right. I'm saying he
It's
doesn't
an element
ride
of
you.
flexibility that I haven't had before as a coach because you're up at 6, you're going to get home till 8. So there's a bit of normality.
Why are you up at 6 when you're the media guy?
Well, I'm not now. That's what I'm saying. There's a bit of normality to it, right?
Oh, sorry. See, that's fair play.
So it's actually getting a good night's sleep and being able to plan your day like a quote unquote normal person, a bit of a 9 to 5 style
Were you
job.
having enough of that 6 a.m. wake up?
Yeah, it catches up to you after a while.
Whoa,
Man. It
fuck.
really does.
Yeah.
I'm a forced morning person as well. So if I don't have to be up, I
won't.
won't be up. But I'm a night owl. I'd rather stay up late.
Oh, so you'd rather be up late.
That's
Okay.
the first element. Is that flexibility that you wouldn't normally get being a quote unquote coach, right?
Yeah.
The second element is I love telling stories, and I love trying to try new things around the media side of things. So I do enjoy that element of it, which is fun, and being able to collaborate with different people on that.
Yep. Things you don't like.
Yeah, 2 things I don't like.
Sure, you miss coaching.
Yeah, no, of course. To be fair, I don't miss it right now because I'm doing a little bit of it with some one-on-ones, which keeps me toes on the ground. And that was one thing I said to Locks at the start was I don't want to ever be removed. Because the moment you're removed, you just get out of touch straight away.
Yeah.
So when there's PD, I still want to be involved in the PD.
I agree that you got to keep coaching at some capacity.
The other funny thing too is I've actually started reading S&C books again because I'm not coaching.
Yeah, true.
Right? So I'm diving back into some Franz Bosch stuff and things like that because
Franz
I'm not
Bosch.
doing it every day.
What? You've gone to pointy to the spear with the Franz Bosch thing, haven't you?
Well, no, here's my other thing. Athletes are sick of seeing the same stuff. So how can we be a bit unique and a little bit different? I'm not going to take
agree
all
with
of
that
it.
whatsoever.
I'm not going to take all of it.
You guys know how boring I am. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But I agree what you're saying
Yeah.
slightly. But you guys know I'm completely against that shit. We're not circus tricks. We're not circus animals. We're here to get results.
Yeah. And then the
Second
second thing would just be the general being around athletes, being around coaches on the gym floor, and just the environment, the community that you can build. When you walk in at 6 o'clock and it's fucking freezing cold outside and there's 20 athletes in there and they're there and they're all tired, they're all sore from the weekend, but you can build the energy and get them to move well, lift heavy. You can never replace that sort of feeling.
Hit the nail on the head. 4 very good points. I want to say before we wrap up, thank you for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate you. You're a busy man. Where can they find you with your 114,000 followers?
Just jump on Threads.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Tell them your thing on Instagram so they can add you up.
It's just coach underscore.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, just coach underscore Jordi Taylor.
Yeah, okay. Listen, I'm going to wrap this up and I'm going to say one thing to you. Thanks for your... I've actually got this thing these days where kind of I look back on my life and it's like I've gone 360 with my whole life because the same kids I was watching or kids younger at people who I was watching and become friends with I've kind of get to a stage of my life where I'm thanking the right people who helped me along my journey. You're one of them. So I want to thank you for helping me out, always being there for me, even with the hard times. You're a good person. You're a good friend of mine. You're a great person. And I just, without getting emotional, for some reason I get emotional on this show. Donnie seems to get emotional a lot. So my last one I cried at. But this is showing my growth as a human being now because I'm showing this now, which I always has been showing this, but I think people relate to this, obviously. But it's really important to pay it forward to people. So thank you for helping me in my life. And not just coaching. It's got nothing to do with coaching and supporting that. It's more in my life every day. And you're always a person I can count on to call. You're a really good guy. You actually are a genuine person. You are a fuckwit sometimes, a genuine idiot. But I come from a background where if you're not doing that to me, I don't feel accepted. So Kieran never understands. This is for the life of me.
It's team sport mentality.
Yeah, but
playing
she
footy.
doesn't understand how
You can give shit to each other.
I was ragging on you one day, like hard, like just me just going at you, and she goes, "I don't know why you're like that with people." I said, Kieran, I do it because I love him. It's so stupid for people to understand. Like if you're not in that, she's never played sport like that. So I do that because I love him, Kieran. She goes, why? She goes, you just never played sport. I played team sport. I'll walk into a change room and be ragged on. Like, dude, I walk into Ormond and I'd be called everything under the sun. And I sit there loving it. I'm like, this is the greatest thing in my world. I miss that. So it's always good to have people in my life who can kind of, there's not many people who give it back to me because I don't know if they're, like you look at Dirk. Dirk will never give it back to me because he looks at me like a father, where it's always good to have people in your life who kind of keep you in check and they'll be like, you're an idiot. Like I'll do something and there's only a few people who call me out on it. You'd definitely be one of them, be like, oh, probably don't do that. And I'll be like, okay, fair enough. And Jay Ellis, the old one, we had Jay last time. So it's always good to have people like you. So thank you for being in my life like that. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on this Ask Woodford episode 14 podcast. I appreciate it. Any last words you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, thanks for the kind words.
You still are a piece of shit, though.
Thanks. There's two ways to build the biggest building in town. You can build the biggest building.
Yep.
Or you can tear other buildings down. So the other way to do it is just build the biggest building, be yourself, but also cheer other people on along the way. I think that's where a lot of people get stuck on is if they're trying to build themselves up. So it's easier as we're going to tear someone else down.
I agree with that. And you know, one thing I've decided, obviously, the last few years, and you've seen the difference in me, I'm very good at building others up and helping out others. And I think that's where I'm getting older now, where I like the people who are trying to do right things where, like yourself, we try and build people up. And if we're on the same team, if you're not on my team, I couldn't give a fuck. But if you're on our same team, which we're all going forward with this, we got to keep working and building people up because this is our industry. So thank you, Jordi Taylor. As always, this is episode 14 of Ask Woodford. I haven't had my two guests with my two co-hosts, Brick and Chris. I'm guessing they're going to be next week. We've got some big guests coming up.
Wait, are we on an island?
Yeah, we are, actually. We are. We're going to talk downstairs. Okay. But we've got some big guests coming up. I'll name drop a few of them right now. Mitch Cleary from Channel 7 we're going to have on. We're going to have Jackson Tippett on. He's got a massive following in Queensland. You know him. And we're probably going to have a few AFL boys on as well over the next few weeks as well. So stay tuned because Ask Woodford's coming at you. Listen, I don't want to just talk about training because I love talking about it, but I like getting different guests like Jordi on. So as always, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to us, follow us, subscribe. You know all our channels will be down below. Johnny, as always, you're a fucking legend. Thank you for all your support. And to you guys, as always, because I wouldn't have a fucking show if no one watched anyway. So thanks for watching. Hopefully give you value. And I will see you next time on Ask Woodford.